everyone. Welcome to another episode of Cosmic Conversations. I am your hostess, Marla Martenson, and I am so excited today to talk to the author of Home at Last, A Journey Toward Higher Consciousness, Sarada Chiruvolu. Hey, Sarada.
Hi, Marla. Good to be here with you on your show. I'm
Thank
really
you.
honored to be with you.
This book was so great because I recently wrote a memoir about my spiritual journey, but Sarada's she really delved deep, you guys, okay? So we're going to find out about this. So I still am doing my matchmaking job, and she was able to just kind of escape over to India. So I want to find out how I could do that. So you were in the pharmaceutical industry. You had a great job, had a husband, children, and then something. Tell us this story about how you decided that you needed to leave that and get out of town and become this spiritually enlightened woman.
Well, it's not quite the way that had happened that way. I mean, I didn't take off to become a spiritual lady. It sort of kind of took me, I was driven toward that direction,
Yeah.
It's not something I pre-planned or been working on or I wanted to get enlightened and that eagerness or that strive is not there originally.
So was it when you started meditating that this all opened up for you, and if it was, what brought you to that meditation?
Actually, it's like I was leading a normal family life with my husband, 2 kids, usual challenges and everything else with all the laundry that comes with the running a life, right? I mean, family and everything. There's a sudden change in my way of being had happened when I was working in a pharmaceutical company. Normally rushing here, rushing there, taking care of so many things, multitasking. All of a sudden, I just lost interest in doing anything that I was doing, work or even homework, like housework, things that I wanted to do with my husband or kids, socializing, nothing fazed me. Everything dropped suddenly. There's this sudden, a shift that has taken place within me, internal shift that is showing me a different direction to follow.
Okay, so it was kind of maybe a spiritual shift, but maybe you didn't know it was spiritual yet, but it was shifting instead of just like, I'm so sick of the grind. It was more.
Exactly. It's not that way. It's not that. It's just something that was all of a sudden turn around. There's something else you need to do, or turn around. There's somebody's knocking at your inner, self, and then showing me a different direction. Okay. What is this life all about? Type of thing.
And then, so what did you do? You followed those breadcrumbs.
I mean, eventually I lost interest, didn't want to work anymore, working in the pharmaceutical, I was just fine. Everything was going well. Then I said, what is going on here? I used to feel like I'm depressed most of the time, but it wasn't depression at all. It was like an interest that was strong interest towards something more than what I was doing. There's an interest toward divinity or interest toward life in general, What is this all about? Why are we here? Type of questions start coming in my head, This is kind of a curiosity towards something that you don't even know what it is.
And so just to cut in for a second, were you did you have any spiritual practice before this, or grew up with it, or were you more, you're in the pharmaceutical industry, more science-based, and just didn't really think about it?
I did some research and development with the medical device company where I was working in the hospitals prior to that.
Yeah.
I was really doing a lot of work with the medical side, science side, blood banking, laboratories, things like that. I worked a lot of years prior to that. And then I shifted to a pharmaceutical industry later on. Mm-hmm. Anyway, no, it's nothing to do with the work, nor with my life. Everything was fine. I mean, of course, we all have our challenges and this and that, normal laundry that comes with it. But it's nothing to do with that I was devastated about something bad that had happened or anything like that. There is a shift that took place that maybe it's like as if it's like I was meant to turn around and find out something more about life, than what I'm normally doing.
Okay.
It could be a lot of things. Later, at some point, I had realized it happens to some that they were doing some kind of a spiritual thing, like either meditators, they were in their previous lives or something. They were unfinished work was there, and as if that's being again reopened, that chapter or something like that. I got to understand that later on at some point, but it was like took me to that point where I started. I knew I was a Reiki practitioner at one point. I was
I'm a Reiki master, so I was excited to read that in your book about the Reiki.
Those days my husband kind of went through a heart attack, and then I was that's one incident. I was like really devastated, and then I wanted to do Reiki on him, and so through Reiki I got into meditation. Actually, Reiki practicing made me get into that quietude and wanted to find out more. What happens when I'm quiet. One thing led to another, and started meditating without any kind of a teacher, without any kind of anybody showing me how to meditate. Or until then, I was not practicing any spiritual things. I wasn't a meditator. I wasn't into anything at all. I didn't even know what enlightenment was, the term enlightenment was, until then. It was like normal life, I wasn't a spiritual person to begin with. I wasn't worried about any of those things. I mean, I used to believe there's a higher power, always that directs our life in general, So I wasn't practicing anything per se.
Okay.
So it was the strangest thing that kind of took me to a turning point in my life, latter part of my adult life. My kids were grown up already, and they're out of the house pretty much, in their college working already. Just me and my husband. So this is what happened, and that.
Tell us about the meditation, because that's what so many people have. A problem just carving out the time, or forgetting to do it, or once we're sitting there on the chair or the cushion, being able to stop our mind. So did you just start with a couple of minutes? I mean, were you able to stop that chatter? What's your suggestion for people?
First of all, how it happened to me, I'll give you a little bit. Initially, sitting quietly, really, I used to love it. Just kind of like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, because of Reiki, I used to, that practice of Reiki and everything, I used to like that. That energy passing through my hands, and that tingling sensation, and how I was able to heal other people with that energy. All these curiosity and wondering about what life is all about made me sit quietly every day, just contemplating on that, So one thing led to another, and I started meditating without even knowing I'm meditating, actually, So that's when I thought meditation taught me how to meditate, actually. I wasn't practicing to learn meditation. That quietude all of a sudden took me into, deeper and deeper way of being in the meditative state, So I was doing really good by itself in course of time. Of course, not right away. Yes, I did have disturbances initially, or thoughts coming, but my thoughts were not that much, They weren't bombarding me that I couldn't sit still. They were pretty much calm, and I was surprised the fact I was able to sit quietly and still yet have an impact, that I was really meditating, and that serenity, I just used to love it, And in general, I understand people have hard time with thoughts and restlessness and agitation when they're trying to make it. I feel strongly that it's kind of like meditation is not for everybody right away, unless you really are 100% interested in knowing about it.
Yeah.
And then also you practice it sincerely, that your intent has to be strong, that you want to meditate. Otherwise, it won't really come easily right away.
Yeah. And then you loved it so much, you started doing it for long periods of time.
I loved it so much that I started doing it half an hour, 15 minutes to half an hour to an hour. Later on, months after months, it went on for so long after a while. And I used to love it. The fact that I could feel my energy also at those days. And then I knew my inner energy, Kundalini, had awakened too.
Okay.
And that's the reason for that shift had taken place.
Okay, this is I'm very fascinated by this. So I feel a lot of the energy moving through me. I'm a Reiki master, so I've got the tingling. I feel energy in the feet, the legs, but this Kundalini, now when you know this happens, this really comes from the base of the spine on up, right? And does that slowly start, or some people just have it, or how did it happen for you, where that you knew it was that Kundalini?
Mine was slowly started. Mine actually was opened. Kundalini was awakened when I found that, how do you say, the shift had taken place I told you about, the transformational shift. Yeah. That's when I lost a lot of interest, and I said I felt like I was depressed.
And you quit your job. You quit that.
Yeah,
so,
right. I think the Kundalini was awakened already. Okay. Those are the symptoms people will have when you're ready to transformation should take place, when there's a transformational change is happening. Of course, the Kundalini energy, one has to meditate quite a bit to bring it up.
Okay, that's the trick.
Through all the chakras. It's just awakening is not going to do anything to you. It might sit there awaken, but it's not going to do much. As far as enlightenment or realizing your own divinity within, you need to meditate a lot to bring it up, that energy.
So for people who might not know what Kundalini is, what is that?
It's the inner energy. That's it. That's another way of saying it. I know Easterners call it Kundalini, but here we all call inner energy awakened, dormant, that's been sitting there. Unless soul is ready, the individual soul, divinity is ready, that energy that's been sitting there, dormant, will not wake up.
So this is a special, powerful energy that's there and dormant, not just our regular energy.
Watt bulb to 100 or 200 watt bulb. That's how much boom you have all that energy going and helping you elevate yourself to higher states of consciousness or ultimately to enlightenment, to the universal consciousness. You kind of bring it up to join, and that's when you call it enlightenment. Naturally.
Okay, so we all have it, but we haven't all activated it. Very few have activated it.
We all have it.
Yeah.
It just stays dormant, and individuals are ready. We're all evolving at a certain pace.
Right.
And when we get to transcend, or when we get that ability to transcend, one never knows. It depends a lot on individuals' way of life and being, what they're doing with themselves, what kind of choices they make, decisions they make, and what kind of a life they're leading in general. It all depends how we evolve, right?
So speaking of that, then so you want to what about diet? Does that have anything to do with it, would you say?
Once it's awakened, yeah, there's I wrote a lot in the chapters. If you read my book, there's a lot of preparation you have to do. How you eat, how you exercise, how to take care of your body has a lot of impact. Right. A lot of on how you will feel. When the inner energy gets awakened. So it's a matter of adjusting all that and trying to take care of the system first. Right. Because there's a lot of impact on your nervous system, your organs within, they're all kind of like messed out initially.
Right.
Because all this impact on this big amount of energy as opposed to normally day-to-day energy you deal with. So actually there's a lot of changes that do happen. And I did write a couple of them that had happened to me, which I managed, let's put it that way. There was a lot of issues that I had experienced as well.
Well, something interesting I haven't been able to figure out. Maybe I don't drink alcohol too much, and I used to enjoy wine and beer, but now I can, for the past maybe year, if I just take a couple sips, immediately my lower back hurts. Have you ever heard of this?
But perhaps your system is not accepting stimulants.
It's not accepting it, but it's a very weird. No doctor can figure this out. Even they're like, I never heard of that.
Changes. Each individual constitution has an impact. Different way of dealing with things. Like I used to eat everything. I was a non-vegetarian. I used to eat meat. I used to eat chicken. I used to eat everything. But once this transformation change has happened, I became vegetarian. I became totally not eating a lot of meat and stuff. Meat and stuff, it's nothing like religious purpose, but it's more like what is it that your system will accept and what your system will not accept. How do you conserve that energy to use it to to bring up your energy to unite with the universal consciousness. You need to save that energy rather than using the energy to on food and other things, because digestion with meat and everything takes a long time.
Yeah, it's a low vibrational food, and then
exactly.
the energy of that animal that was tortured and painful and stuff is carried in there. We bring it in.
Yeah. It has a negative impact.
Negative impact.
System, right.
So
it's better to kind of like take it easy, and you can eat protein and everything in other sources. You don't need to have animal meat, protein.
Yes, I agree.
So I don't really, I used to look at it that way rather than seeing, well, gee, because of this religion, I can't eat. It's nothing like that. It's what agrees with your system. You work with that.
And then you talk about the golden sphere in your book. So now, this is so cool. So now you say every time you close your eyes, you see this golden sphere, and even in your daily life, you're like connected. And so tell us about this. I want to see that sphere.
Well, you know what? When I say that, I see the sphere every time, or that when you get that experience of enlightenment or realizing your own divinity within, that's continuous after enlightenment. That consciousness you live with, So what is divinity? It's consciousness. It's energy, that universal energy is within you in the human body. You're functioning with that now. It's what you used to function before, no longer there, but it's like now it's like much higher awareness you live with, it's different from before. So you're like, either you're working, you're taking a shower, you're doing anything, all you do is quietly sit and you'll see that, the sphere is there. It means sphere is that inner divinity of strong vibrational frequency that kind of like goes more on the Agna Chakra, third eye area.
The third eye, right.
It vibrates a lot.
Okay.
I can feel the vibrations of my inner chakras most of the time when I'm meditating. So I'm more so at the third eye area, So all I do is I'm resting sometimes, I can see the vision, the sphere. It's a bright orange encircled with the blue that I had explained.
Beautiful. And other people that you know who are enlightened, do they say the same thing, or everybody might see something different?
Maybe normally they should see that. I'm not sure if everybody's seeing that.
Okay.
They can probably see perhaps the blueness a bit, maybe not strong enough. Depends. I guess it varies from individual to individual. I'm not sure. I haven't talked to
And since that, your third eye's open and you're seeing all this, can you hear other beings? Some people channel angels or channel other beings or spirits, or have you connected with, do you see any? No. Okay.
I don't see those, but what I have gained was the more insight, more power in my decision making, and more the intent is much stronger. When I put my mind to it, it happens. Okay. Or you say something, you go after certain things, it'll for sure happen.
You're manifesting. You're
manifesting whatever your intent is.
Right.
There's different things happen to different people, and then the psychic powers and things like that, they're just secondary as for enlightenment. You don't need not have necessarily that, but your capacity and your potential increases tremendously to do whatever you want with life. And that's why a lot of teachers and a lot of people out there want to get enlightened, self-realized. Why do they want to do that? Because they want the way of being enhances quite a bit, Our life gets enhanced to function well in this day and age, in this life, It's not just living with that limited amount of awareness and limited amount of consciousness. We have 100%,
And how does your husband feel about this? Is he into, like, for instance, I'm into all this. My husband's like, he thinks I'm a loon, I'm crazy. But so...
and I think I'm in the same boat a little bit.
Okay.
Because, we're all moving around in our journey,
Right.
Cannot emphasize one individual's way of being to another, though we're husband and wife or family members, whatever. They're all moving in a direction, in their own pace.
Yes.
Life is a journey. Who gets that ability at what time? one never knows. My husband and I are, like you said, two different people, two different personalities, love each other a lot, but and he's a good supporter for me. My husband never, had any kind of issues or problems. You know how spouses don't like sometimes when you go away hours after hours doing your meditations and not participating in any kind of a social activities as you used to.
Right.
You reduce all these things, but yet we come to a way of being within the limits. I still function well, and I'm still okay. And yeah, I don't like certain things, but I sort of make my people around me and my family comfortable.
Yes.
Like when you are enlightened and self-realized, you can't expect other people to change for you.
Right.
You need to make that change,
Right,
because your consciousness, your transformational impact, you shouldn't impose that on other people. That's the way I believe in, You should all kind of like blend in sort of thing.
We got to blend in. And then you met a teacher, and it was so fascinating to read that when you met her, she said, "I've been expecting you." So just tell us a little bit about your teacher and then when you went to India.
Yeah, I found Amma. Her name is Amma Karunamayi.
And it's not the hugging Amma, it's a different Amma.
No. It's a different one. You see the picture in my book. I found her latter part of my journey, actually. Like I said, I didn't have a teacher to teach me how to meditate, nor was I planning all this ahead of time and everything all in this. So then I said, after I got to a certain point in my meditative states, and then I gotten deeper and deeper. And then I wanted to meet somebody. And I started reading a lot of books and finding out what's it all about, what's happening with me, what is the ultimate point where I'm going to go or where am I heading toward. And then I found this lady coming from India, giving discourse and giving tools and uplifting people to raise themselves to the higher level of consciousness. All these teachers, there are hundreds of them out there.
Yeah.
But I seem to like someone that came originally from India, as I have great respect for the land and the country. Some reason I wanted somebody from that place,
Yeah.
So I went and saw her when she was doing this individual blessings, where she talks on one-on-one for 2-3 minutes. And I get to talk to her personally. And that's what I wanted mostly. And that's what attracted me about her.
Right.
She does that as opposed to other teachers, that I know after that. So I went there, and the first thing she would say with a nice smile, "What took you so long?" And I was stunned when she said that. What is she talking about? And then everything, "I was waiting for you," she said with a smile. And then I said, yeah. And then I had to write in a card of what is the question I had for her, And then I said, "I'm neither here nor there. I'm in the middle. I'm confused." That's what I said in the card. And then she knew what I meant, Like neither am I functioning here, neither was I enlightened at that point yet. Okay. To know completely what's happening with all these changes and, things I've been struggling with. So it was a nice conversation I had. And I think these beings know which individuals are ready to experience that realizing their own divinity within, and they call upon them sometimes. And it's like something attracted me to go toward her. And I had resonated with her very nicely after that.
And then you went to her ashram?
Right. I went to India because she told me there's something that you haven't finished in your previous life. You need to continue that by doing a lot more meditation, lifting that yourself up to reach that universal consciousness. That's what she said.
So then that's why you continue.
That's when I understood. This is what's all about, and I have to meditate a lot more. More hours, more in a seclusion places, not like home atmosphere. So I started doing retreats at that point on, going to these serene places, which I mentioned in my book. A lot of places I've been visiting and meditating in those places. Some of the environments are more conducive for meditation. Right. They lift you up. The energy over there. It's sort of brings your meditative state much faster to that tranquility.
Yeah, the vibration of the place. Yeah, when I do it here at home in my office, I mean, there's maybe a fire truck going by, or it's something, garbage
Right.
truck, or the phone. I mean, it's hard. I'm thinking I need earplugs or something. I don't know. It's kind of.
Or you have to worry about, I got to do this or I got to do that, all the time worrying about. That's what I said to people. When you want to meditate, don't think about what you need to do, what's pending out there. Don't think about what you have done before.
Yes.
Forget about the past and the future. Just sit still, Don't worry about all these things. Get everything done before.
You say that in your book. Get all your tasks done, your to-do list done first, so you're not thinking, I've got to make that call, I've got to do.
I got to go do that, or pick up my kid at the school.
Right.
All these things, if you're going to have, you're not going to be able to meditate.
Exactly.
But that's how it went, my encounter with my teacher.
And then how long did you stay in India the first time?
That's when I went first time to India after so many years. I mean, once I grew up here in U.S.,
Yeah, and you're from India. What part of India are you from originally?
South of India. My whole family's here.
Yeah.
And so I didn't really go back, especially going back to India just to do my spiritual work is what made me go back to that country, actually. 10 years ago, I started doing that. I went back to India once this happened. 3 consecutive meditation retreats I took from her in her ashram in India, south of India. She has a beautiful ashram.
Yeah, there's the pictures in here. They're beautiful.
So serene and such a great place to meditate, in the middle of forest and the mountains. It's just great.
And can anyone go there if they want to go?
Anybody can go there. And she runs retreats every year. I mean, now I just stopped going every year, but I still visit her. I love her so much, and such a gratitude toward her. And she gives a lot of good tools, and these teachers have a way of lifting you up, kind of like cleaning your path, so you can meditate better and lift yourself faster. They don't give you enlightenment or realizing your own true nature.
We've got to do that ourselves, but
we have to do ourselves. But they give you how to do, per se, when to do, how to do, what to use, what kind of tools, like those breathing exercises you have to do to get better vital energy.
The pranayama.
Exactly. That gives you more vital energy to calm your thoughts, calm yourself, so you can lift yourself better. Understand.
So at this point, how long every day do you meditate? Tell us your routine.
Oh, those days I used to meditate 2-3 hours.
But what about now? What about now that you?
Now I don't as much. Now I'm always in that consciousness. Remember, the divinity is continuous. Yes. Once that happens, after the self-realization, you stay with that consciousness. It's a matter of integrating all that in your living.
So then you don't need to sit there like that.
You don't have to sit in a particular time or place and meditate. That kind of thing goes away. You are always meditating, but I love meditating still. It becomes part of your life,
Right.
It's like you eating dinner and sleeping. You sit there and in that absolute and that quietude. And your home is that, actually. That's why I call my book Home at Last. Your main home is your meditative state, your natural way of being, and you would love to be there. But that kind of puts you in a mindset where you'll function better in this daily life, So I now do one, let's say, right after I wake up, an hour in the morning, an hour in the night before I sleep.
And what about caffeine and coffee? People want to wake up with that. Now, do you feel that that's good to cut out because it gets the system too agitated, or what do you feel about it? It doesn't matter. I mean, the individual.
It's individual practice. And something, once you have that experience of realization and also you're continuously there, then conscious, nothing really bothers you anymore. Nothing really has an impact on your system. You're in control. You have much more control over your system, how your energy is moving and how you're able to handle anything. And your insight will tell you what's right, what's not for your system. And you go with it, It's sort of like kind of move with what your inner self wants. Your inner self is your divinity, actually. So what its divine requirements are, it tells you, More or less, you're the container.
Right.
We're just form.
So I want to end with the big question. You write about it in your book, the fear of death. Everyone's afraid, and life is precarious. There are terror attacks, car crashes. It seems like cancer is rampant now, and illnesses, and it's just, you never know. Everyone always says live each moment because we don't know if we have tomorrow, and people are really, it's something afraid. But tell us a little about how you feel about death now, and since you've kind of in that state of, you had even explained sometimes you feel like you don't even feel parts of your body because you're all with the oneness. So just give us a little taste of that.
I wrote one chapter in my book about that. The reason I wrote that was it's so surprising that once you go through the realization what death really is. Death is nothing but that absolute, being in that absolute silence, that stillness, that we're all energy. The fact we know that we're all energy, we're part of the universal energy.
Right.
So death is nothing but shedding the outer form away, but you're still there. Your energy is still there, That kind of a knowing is so strong. And when you, after realizing or get to your enlightenment, it's like you don't fear anymore. There's no such thing like, oh, I'm going to die, oh, I'm going to feel bad, or I'm going to have this disease. It's rather maybe the point that for me is, God, if I leave, what about my rest of the people? They might be, the impact is more on that than you yourself being scared.
Yeah.
I don't have any kind of a fear about death because I know what it is now. It's almost like when I'm meditating, that's death. That's the thing. When you're in that absolute universal consciousness, that's death. That's, you don't have your body consciousness. You lose your body consciousness. Then you're in the deeper samadhi states. Don't have your body consciousness. There is no outside world exists. All you see is that absolute heightened awareness.
Okay,
That's
yeah.
it, right?
And I agree. Like when I'm flying in a plane, going, on a trip, I'm always just praying, please don't let me die, because what would happen? My mother wouldn't be able to handle it, and what would happen to my dog? Like, these are the two things I'm worried about. Otherwise, I wouldn't care. It's like, well, if I die, I die, right?
That's true. And actually, you know what? Even that worry goes away when you're enlightened because you're not attached to anybody that much anymore. Your attachment is different. Your love is you love the universal consciousness. Everything is life is you love. Anything, it's all unity, unification of everything. And so your attachment to my kids, my dog, or my husband, that type of attachment reduces tremendously. I mean, yeah, you love them, you be there, and you want best for them, but you're not suffering from that clinging on type of thing.
And I imagine it would help with the aging process, with feeling about age, because this culture, it's like, it's so... And when you feel that, it's like we're not our body. Maybe that helps with that, especially for women. It's hard to see ourselves in the mirror. Age, sometimes I don't even want to look. Oh, look at my neck. Oh God, I'm not even going to look in the mirror. So I think it's going to help a lot.
The hedonism, always worrying about this body that's not even permanent, that's going to go away anyway. But we do so many plastic surgeries, we fix ourselves. That's all useless, really, come think of it. Because it's going to go one day. And aging, meditation reduces aging, by the way.
I've heard that. It slows down the aging process, doesn't it?
Definitely. You look younger, stronger, with a lot more energy. And you're always with a lot more energy after enlightenment because all that inner energy is bloomed. You're just a matter of integrating all that. So aging slows down. You don't even know how old I am. I'm really old.
No, I know. Well, I read that you're 100, but you look about 40.
So I don't even feel it. I feel 25, 30 again. The energy I have, I played 2 sets of tennis. I'm not tired.
Yeah.
Still.
Awesome. Well, after reading your book, I am so dedicated to my meditation practice. I'm so excited, and I thank you so much for stopping by and sharing with us. And you guys, this is such a great book. All the links are below, and leave us a comment, you guys. What have you been enlightened? Do you feel that Kundalini energy? I want to hear about it in the comments. Thank you, and we'll talk again soon. Thanks, Sarada.
Thank you, Marla. It's been wonderful talking to you.